I'm Loretta Bush, President and CEO for Authority Health. In February, the entire nation goes red, and so do we here at Authority Health. On the first Friday of February, that's known as Go Red for Women Day, where we bring awareness to the number one killer of women, and that's cardiovascular disease. But even more important than that, we talk about the ways that we can empower ourselves to stay healthy and reduce our risk of cardiovascular disease. Hi, back again. I'm Loretta Bush, President and CEO for Authority Health. And it is my pleasure to be here with Kristian Hurley, and she's from the American Heart Association. And I'm also here with Chef Alaina Randall, and she is associated with Be Vegan. BeNaturalBeVegan.com. And we are here because today is Go Red for Women Day. And we are going to start off by hearing all about why Go Red for Women is so important. And Kristian, why don't you talk to us about Go Red for Women and all that it entails?
Absolutely. Well, hello. I'm so happy to be here. Again, my name is Kristian Hurley. I'm the Senior Director of Community Impact at the American Heart Association. This is Wear Red Day, and so we're very excited to be here with our partners at Authority Health to talk to all of you about why it's important for women in particular to really be thinking about their heart health. The Go Red campaign was created because traditionally women were not concerned about having heart attacks. It was considered to be a something that affected men. I think the stereotype was that it was a male in their maybe 50s who were having these concerns. But this is an issue that affects everyone. Heart disease is the #1 killer of all Americans, in particular women, right? And so we started this campaign so that we could really bring attention to that and really to allow you all to have a forum and something to rally around in your workplaces, in the places where you worship, everywhere in your community where you can really start to think about, let's take a day to really bring awareness to this issue. In particular, African American women are actually at higher risk for heart disease and stroke.
Wow.
In particular men as well, the African American community. So about 60% of men have cardiovascular disease. About 57% of women have already cardiovascular disease. We also have higher rates of the risk factors that would also contribute to someone having cardiovascular disease.
Now, Kristian, let me just stop you right there because
Sure.
just today, one of my own staff came and shared with me that she has a relative who's only in her 30s who already has serious heart disease and is possibly facing surgery. So she was supposed to be scheduled for surgery today. The doctors have given her 2 weeks after looking to see if that's really going to happen. So I really think what you're sharing with us is important, that this myth that it's older and that it's men, but here she is, an African American female, only in her 30s, and she's facing serious heart disease and possibly heart surgery. So again, that's why a day like today, Go Red for Women, where we bring awareness to the issues around cardiovascular disease. But then there's some things that we can do to kind of lower our risk. Because part of what we want to do is that we want to empower you. We want you to understand that you need to be a partner in your health care. So Kristian, why don't you share with us some of the things that we can do to reduce our risk from cardiovascular disease?
That's a fantastic question and request. So AJ, we talk about the Simple 7, Life Simple 7. These are the factors that make up ideal cardiovascular health. And so one of them is simply knowing your numbers, right? And knowing your blood pressure numbers and your cholesterol number and your blood glucose numbers. You also want to really be thinking about your lifestyle and making sure that you're getting enough fruits and vegetables in your diet. So looking at your nutrition. Very much also want to focus on your physical activity. We should be getting about 30 minutes of physical activity a day, right? So want to be focusing on that. We also want to be looking at whether or not you're a smoker or a vapor. If you are, I won't make you say, but if you are, you definitely do not want to smoke. This very much increases your risk for cardiovascular diseases and stroke. Did I get the 7?
Yes,
Okay. So those are your life simple 7. And, you know, if you just think about your life and make sure that you're addressing each of those areas, then you'll be able to help yourself. Oh, and weight. I did mention weight. So that's also a major one.
The weight thing.
Can't forget that. I like to forget that one, but we can't forget that
It's
one.
an important
It's
one.
an important
Yeah.
one, right? And so that's something that we know it's a struggle, but it's something we have control over, right? We have control over how much exercise we're getting in our day. We have control over, you know, whether or not we decide to add some veggies, right, to our plate every day. And so we just want to be thinking about those things. Those are very important for us to be considering. And
Well, I'm going to add an 8. And that is
Yeah.
having a fantastic primary care doctor. And many of you have heard me talk about this before. When I say a fantastic primary care doctor, I mean one that you can talk to, one that understands you, and one that you can be honest with. And so here at Authority Health, we operate the Popoff Family Health Center on the east side of Detroit. And that phone number is 313-824-1000. You know, I'm surprised because I usually can't remember phone numbers, so I'm batting 1,000. And I'm a little bit distracted because I want to turn now to Chef Alaina. And that was a perfect opening. You know, when you talk about physical activity, but also we have to talk about the food that we take in, and that food is fuel, and that we have to be able to burn that the same way that we do with a car. But then also we need to be conscious of the types of foods that we consume. And so Chef Alaina is an expert on that. So Chef, please share with us the foods that you brought for us today.
Yes, definitely. So thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be a part of this day with you guys. The very first recipe, we have an amazing kale salad, and the secret ingredient is actually beets. So beets, a lot of people cringe at beets. I know you said you
love
them.
beets. I love beets.
Really?
You love beets? Yeah, I confess, I love beets.
But that's great. That's great because beets are really, really important. They're amazing for your health. And we also have kale in the salad as well, which is a superfood, as a lot of us know. So that is going to be our entree. We have a lot of other things in there that are red, like red apples, red peppers, and red onions, all that are amazing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And it looks like we also have some kind of red dressing there.
Yes,
Tell us
yes.
a little bit about how you made that.
So, would you like me to show you? as
I
well?
would, yes, please.
Okay.
Even better.
Perfect. So this dressing is super simple, and if you have a high-speed blender, it's really, really simple. So the main ingredients here is going to be beets, and you're going to boil them till they're soft and tender, and you just need a little piece. So you need a piece about this big. And then you are going to use some red wine vinegar, and it is not red wine, it's just vinegar.
Just vinegar.
I'm sure you could add some if you really wanted
Oh,
to, but no,
but
we're gonna
red
stick
wine
to the vinegar.
in moderation,
yeah.
but that is not an excuse to
Definitely
consume
not.
a lot of red wine.
No.
Okay. But this is just the red wine vinegar.
Just red wine vinegar. We also have 100% pure olive oil, and we're just going to add a tad bit. This really just helps it stick, you know, to the kale as well. We have 100% pure organic maple syrup. This is the only sweetener that I really use. It's really low, it's lower on the glycemic index. And we're going to use Dijon mustard, and this also is only 100% mustard seed and vinegar. So this is really all you need to make a fabulous dressing that has a kick. So I'm going to turn this on.
Wow, Chef, that's a serious blender.
Yeah.
That's a serious blender. Yeah.
Yes, but this, you know, with the beef being blended, you can use, you know, any blender. There's a lot of blenders that work really well. And you can have a few chunks. Nothing wrong with that because you're eating a salad anyway.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Well, we have our salad,
Yes.
and we have our salad dressing.
Mhm.
Now let's kind of move to the main course here.
Oh my goodness,
What
so
do you have there?
I'm super excited about this because this is made, it's a red lentil soup. And I have a couple secret ingredients that I feel like makes it taste extra phenomenal.
Well,
I
sure.
love it, so we'll have to see if you guys like it as well.
I think we will.
So we're going to use some coconut milk in here instead of just your regular water. And then we're going to use red lentils. So red lentils have their own unique flavor. And they're really, really amazing for you. Beans in general, but lentils have a lot of vitamins and minerals, and they're just absolutely amazing for your blood and your heart. Great.
Well, great. Are you going to tell us a little bit about how you make it?
Yes, so the secret to this is really sauteing your onions and your red peppers together with the seasoning. So some of the seasonings that I used was cumin, a little bit of garlic powder, some fresh garlic, a little bit of salt, and then we also use like a vegetable bouillon cube as well. So you want to saute that all together, and I feel like that's really the secret to an amazing red lentil soup. Then after that, you're going to add your coconut milk, your lentils, your water, and 20 minutes and it's done.
Wow, 20 minutes. Now, and that's really important. It's especially important for working women and working men to be able to have a 20-minute meal that's healthy for us. That'll keep us from going through the McDonald's line when we can have a 20-minute healthy meal. Well, wonderful. Well, I'm Loretta Bush with Authority Health, and I'm here with Kristian from the American Heart Association, and we're talking about Go Red for Women because we want to bring awareness to the issue of cardiovascular disease and how we can empower ourselves to help prevent it. Now, Kristian, I understand that there's a strong association between heart disease and stroke, but that there are some things that we can do to recognize if we're having a stroke. And the other thing that I've heard is that when it comes to stroke, that time is everything, that if you can get seen and treated fast. So why don't you talk about that connection between the two, and again, what we can do to kind of help ourselves.
Absolutely. So we're actually both the American Heart Association and the American Stroke Association. A lot of people don't know that. And so, yes, heart disease is the #1 killer, but stroke is #5, right? And so we know that one risk factor that really lends itself to both situations is hypertension. Hypertension is going to be your #1 risk factor of whether or not you're going to have a stroke, right? And so all of the factors that we talked about with the Life Sample 7 applies to stroke as well. You want to reduce your risk for stroke. You also want to look at those Life Sample 7 and make sure that you're considering all of the topics that we talked about a little bit earlier. But a key point as well is that we can really help ourselves and our communities if we can recognize the warning signs of a stroke. And so an easy way to remember the warning signs of stroke is to remember FAST, F-A-S-T. So that is, F stands for facial droop. So if you're seeing a drooping on one side of your face, or if you witness that in others, that is a sure sign that that is something that this is potentially happening. A stands for arm weakness. So if you're feeling, weakness, numbness, your arm just seems to be hanging to one side. Typically, again, on one side of your body.
And can it be either side?
Typically we see the left side.
Okay.
But I think we say either, right?
Okay.
But I mean, that's the side that I think is most common. S is slurred speech. So this was an important one as well, because when we talk to survivors who have experienced a stroke, oftentimes they might be giving a presentation like I am now, and they think they're just doing it. And someone in the audience might recognize that they don't sound right. Their voice is off, right? It's slurring, it's not as it should be. The person speaking doesn't always know that. So it's really important that we can recognize these things, both, as I said, both in ourselves and others. And last is T. Time to call 911. That is critically important, right? Because we want to be able to get someone to a hospital, typically to get them in an ambulance to a hospital, because they're going to be seen more quickly if they get there in an ambulance. And so we want to make sure that they're getting treated. We really want to shoot for like 90 minutes, which I know doesn't sound like a lot of time, but what we say is that time loss is brain loss, right? Mm-hmm. So the quicker that we can get someone treated after having a stroke, you're really going to help them to have lesser effects after the fact of that stroke, right? And so we want to make sure that they get seen quickly and that they're able to get what we call clot-busting drugs, right? That when they get to that doctor's office, that's really going to be able to help them, really fully recover. We've seen people fully recover from a stroke, but it's very important that they get to the hospital.
Kristian, that is so important because this is an issue that is professionally important to me, but also personally important to me. Someone I love had a first stroke, got to the hospital in record time, almost no signs. But the second stroke, not so well. all of the issues associated with stroke. So we want to remember face. We want to have face, arm, speech,
Yes.
and then time.
Absolutely.
And I really like the fact that you talked about the fact that sometimes the person that's experiencing it doesn't realize that they are. So we want to be able to intervene and say, something's not right with your speech. So get involved if you see any of those things.
Absolutely.
Perfect, perfect. All right, we've had our salad. We've had our entree, which is this wonderful lentil soup. And we had our taste tester who've already said that it was fantastic. So now we want to move to dessert.
Yes.
And dessert doesn't have to be bad.
No.
It can actually be healthy and delicious. And I want to see it too. Most importantly, I want to taste it too. All right.
Well,
so
these are just little samples of a larger pie. So this is amazing because you can really eat it guilt-free. I mean, you can eat this on a diet and still drop the pounds like crazy because it is full of healthy ingredients. This is it's not only vegan, but gluten-free as well. It's made out of almond meal as the crust, and then the inside is frozen cherries, maple syrup, and lemon juice. And what else? A couple of starches as well, a little bit of cornstarch. And that's it.
And how long does it take to prepare something like this?
Well, you're going to, I can show you. I wanted to show you the dough.
Yeah. Do that.
So this is the dough, and this is kind of the most difficult part, but it still will only take you about 10 minutes to form. So the dough is going to be a little bit different because there's no gluten or anything in it. You are just going to mix everything together. We got chia seeds in here. We have flax meal, as well as almond meal.
Now, are those things we can find easily, like the Kroger or Whole Foods?
Definitely.
Okay.
I mean, Kroger, Meijer, Whole Foods, definitely your health food stores, but then Amazon as well.
Oh, perfect.
You know,
Well, Amazon rules the world.
Right, don't they?
Yeah, you can find anything on Amazon, so that's great.
Exactly.
All right.
So the biggest thing with this is you're just going to mix everything together except for the water. And then you're going to mix the water in. So you want all the flours incorporated. You're going to mix the water, and then you're going to put it on some parchment paper, and you're just going to roll it out. So you want it to get kind of flesh and as flat as possible. You don't want really thick pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a lot easier if you have a little bit of flour on your
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. But you want to roll it out really, really thin. Put it at the bottom of your cooking sheet or your pan. And then you're going to mix the middle. So the middle is super easy. You can do this in 5 minutes. You're going to mix your berries. You can swap berries too. This works really well with blueberries. And we know that berries are really high in antioxidants.
Absolutely.
So it's really, really a great choice for fruit. And it's also great for diabetics as well. So yeah, you mix everything together, pour it in the pan, leave it in there 45 minutes to an hour, just depending on when everything bubbles up nicely. And that is served.
Well, perfect. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to taste it, and I'm going to turn it over to you because there is a Go Red for Women event that's coming up here in the Detroit area, right?
Yes.
And we want our listeners to know about the event and know how they can register for the event. And I believe our own Governor Whitmer is going to be the guest speaker. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah.
I'm going to give this a shot.
I'm gonna grab the flyers.
I always do.
Okay.
That's not a problem. is it?
No.
Okay,
Not
there we
this
go.
one.
All right.
Feel free. Well, I can't wait to get to that, so I'm going to go quickly. So the Go Red for Women Luncheon is actually coming up February 21st. It's going to be held at the Little Caesars Arena here in Detroit. It's going to be an amazing event. About 600 women are going to come together to really, again, celebrate women and the importance of women taking control of our own health, right? And really getting involved in the process. So the event starts at 10 a.m. The website is heart.org/Detroit Go Red. That's where you can get your tickets for the event and learn more. There's going to be vendors and some educational sessions as well at the event. And it will be keynoted by our amazing Governor Gretchen Whitmer. However, I also wanted to highlight that we are having a featured choir at the Go Red for Women event this year. And so I don't know if you've ever heard of Selected of God, but they are a local Detroit choir, fantastic choir. They're actually featured in a really famous Chrysler ad that featured the city of Detroit and how amazing we are. And so we're really excited to have a choir featured at the luncheon. And so hopefully you all can join us there. But of course, if you have any questions, please visit heart.org/Detroit Go Red.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Chef Alaina, thank you so much for sharing with us. We will have these recipes on our website, and I'm sure they're also on your website as well. Also, Kristian, thank you so much for sharing all about Go Red for Women, helping to empower us. And then lastly, I'm Loretta Bush, President and CEO for Authority Health, and as always, knowledge is power. So get to know everything that you need to know about staying healthy, help your family stay healthy, and then we'll see you next time. So Chef, you've told us all about this wonderful soup. You've told us how to make it. You've told us how important the nutrition is relative to this soup. But now here's the most important part, the tasting. And so I think someone from our staff here at Authority Health wants to come and take a bite. Corliss, why don't you come on up?
Absolutely.
You have to be very honest.
Okay.
What do you think about this soup?
And I tell you, one of my absolute favorite things is lentils. But I didn't know until today that there's a red lentil. So Corliss,
Okay.
tell me what you think.
This is good.
All right, there you have
Very
it.
good.
This is good.